Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. I know Rabbi Adam Mintz for many years when he was the rabbi of Lincoln Square Synagogue. He's currently the rabbi of Kehilat, Rayim, Ahuvim, a modern Orthodox shul he founded in the Upper West Side in 2004. In 2022, he co-founded Project Ruth that educates potential conversion candidates, facilitates accessible Orthodox conversion to Judaism, director of 929 English, a web-based project that promotes a daily study of a chapter of Tanakh. He's also a member of the Talmud faculty at Yeshiva Maharat and is taught as an adjunct assistant professor at City College of New York. He's a member of the Rabbinical Council of America, which since 2007 has overseen standards for Orthodox conversions. But in recent years, he's gained by word of mouth a reputation for unusual willingness to provide Orthodox conversions outside the RCA system. His Beth Din has regularly converted gay, lesbian, transgender people and the children. A few of the rabbis who work with him have presided over same-sex weddings. Rabbi Adam Mintz, welcome, Shavuot Tov. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Wow, that's a mouthful. Fantastic.
Did I miss anything?
You got everything, but we could talk about this all night long. That's it. It's almost time for Shachritz.
That's a great time. And by the way, I think you also convert people who are anti-Zionist as well.
That was also a discussion in the article, yes.
That was an article, of course, in the New Yorker magazine, which prompted us to invite you onto the program. So we're glad you're joining us. So let's first begin with the anti-Zionists. I know there was a story in there about a Korean woman who converted, then she's anti-Zionist, anti-Israel. So do you have any problems converting anybody that says, I hate the state of Israel, or let's say they belong to Neturei Karta?
Thank you very much for starting that way. So let me just clarify those people in the audience who read the article. The person who they described in the article, we'll just call her Nancy, she converted before October 7th. So this was not an issue that came up at all, really, in the conversion process. As we all remember, it seems like a long time ago, but before October 7th, the question of Zionism and anti-Zionism and progressives and all those terms really were not factors. But I think that this does raise an important question about whether Zionism should be a factor when deciding about whether to accept someone in a conversion program and ultimately whether to convert them. And you said, would I convert someone who's a member of the Neturei Karta?
Well, who will join the Neturei Karta?
Who will join the Neturei Karta? Let me put it in kind of a context we understand, because you say anti-Israel, that's very extreme. So let's take something that we understand. Would you convert someone who's going to live in Israel, who tells you that they will not send their children to the army? Right? But however you want to say it, they're someone who's, who doesn't have any children, but they tell you they get married, they're going to have children. They will not send their children to the army. Would you be willing to convert such a person? Now, that's an interesting question.
That's an anti-Zionist. You have Haredim who don't want to send.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Who hate Israel.
Right. So I'm starting with this question, and I'll get to anti-Zionism in a minute. So you say, I won't convert such a person. Let's imagine rabbi has an opinion. I won't convert such a person. The point I want to make is that you're allowed to take that stand. You can say anything you want. But that's not a halachic position. That's a political position. The idea that you want your converts to send their sons to the army, that's a political decision on your part, that you want your converts to be part of the religious Zionist community that believes that you have a responsibility to send your children to the army. You're right. The religious Zionists think there's a halachic responsibility to send their children to the army, but that's an interpretation. That's a religious Zionist interpretation of the halacha. There are many people, you say the Neturei Karta, let's just take it simple, right? You say that somebody is going to convert and they're going to become Satmar, right? They're going to become Satmar, or Hasidic generally, or Haredi. They're not going to send their children to the army. So you're welcome not to convert them because that's your politics. But I think you're hard-pressed to say that there would be a prohibition, a halachic prohibition against converting someone who's going to become a Haredi.
Yaakov Bloyd, who was converted by a modern Orthodox Beth Din, and he
became the Turei Karta.
No,
right.
became Satmar, not Neturei Karta, Satmar.
Satmar, yeah.
He finished Shas and Zohar and Mishnayos, and very brilliant. And they converted and went back to being a Catholic.
Right. So,
Modern Orthodox Beth Din, the RCA.
I can't control. We can't control everything that happens now. So that's something that I'm sure many of the listeners understand. The idea of, someone who won't send their kids to the army, and whether or not you want them as part of your community, and in this case, the Jewish community. Now, Zev, you raised the more difficult question. You have someone post-October 7th who tells you that they're anti-Israel. What does anti-Israel mean? And let's take it in its most extreme form. They say that Israel deserved October 7th, that Israel has been persecuting Palestinians, since 1948, since 1967, whatever they say, and Israel deserved what happened on October 7th. And again, I'm not talking about the specific case referred to in the New Yorker. I'm not talking about what her views are, but just generally, if someone were to say that, would you convert that person? Now, that's interesting because, again, that person, you see, if that person is not Shomer Shabbos and that person is not Shomer Kashrut, so they don't really have anything, right? They're not Shomer Kashrut, they're not Shomer Shabbos, and they don't like Israel. When Naomi wants Rus to go back to Moav. So Rus says to Naomi, your nation is my nation and your God is my God. So it's important that you accept Elokayich Elokai, but also Amechami, that your nation is my nation. So what about if you have a situation where you have a convert who accepts Elokayich Elokai, who accepts the fact that that God is the God of the Jewish people, and they accept halacha and they're observant on halacha, but they believe that Israel deserved October 7th. So what are you going to say? They reject Amechami, but they accept Elokayich Elokai. Would you convert such a person? So what I would say is, everybody is allowed to have their opinion. But what I would say is, I think it's very important to understand that those people who criticize Israel now, right, and there are different types, but at least the people we have come in contact with, what they are converting to Judaism. They're accepting Shabbos, they're accepting Kashrus, they're accepting Chagim, they're accepting all of the halacha, but they have their political views about Israel, but they want to express those political views as Jews. Those are Jewish movements. Now, we might not agree with what their opinions are about Israel, but they believe that their opinions are being expressed as Jews. So I think that we need to very clearly distinguish between a halachic consideration, a communal consideration, and a political consideration. And you're allowed to take a political stand, but to say that halachically such a person can convert, I think that would be problematic. The same way, like you said, Zev, would you not convert someone who is Neturei Karta, who again is anti-Israel? I think that's a difficult position.
Neturei Karta, I'm going to take that to the extreme, because Neturei Karta not only says, I hate the state of Israel, I will work with Hamas, I will march with Hamas, I'll be with Hezbollah, I'll be with all these anti-Israel people, somebody who not only professes a belief, but acts against the Jewish people, could even be considered a Moser for somebody who didn't convert. So the question is, did you convert such a person?
So I'm saying we never had such a person. My question about Neturei Karta is, if you were in a minion in Kennedy Airport waiting for an El Al flight, and there were 9 people, and the 10th person was in a Neturei Karta. I don't know how you would know that, but let's imagine that somehow you knew that the 10th person was in a Neturei Karta. Would you not answer Baruch Hu? Would you not answer Yehesh Be'Rabba to Mariv? I would be surprised if you found many modern Orthodox Jews, religious Zionist Jews who actually would not answer Yehesh Be'Rabba, who would believe that Neturei Karta doesn't count for the minion. I think if you're going to count a Neturei Karta for a minion, then you can convert someone to be a Neturei Karta. They count for the minion.
Listen,
we may not agree with that.
Born and let's say and he's part of the Jewish people, and he expresses his point of view and works against the Jewish people, maybe you can make the argument he's still considered a member of the Jewish people. But should you accept somebody from the get-go who was going to be an attack on the Jewish people, who's going to aid and abet our enemies, with that person should have the privilege of being a Jew? That's different than somebody incorporating for a minion.
Yes, that is true, but that's a political decision. That's not a halachic decision. The halachic decision is if you consider those people Jewish, then and you consider them halachic and you count them for a minion, and you'd answer Yehish Rabbah, so then maybe you have the halachic responsibility to convert those people. Now you can make a community decision. You can decide that's bad for your community. That's bad for the Jewish community. You can make that decision. Every rabbi has the right to make that decision, but that's a community decision. That's not a halachic decision.
Have you got any feedback or blowback to the fact that you
of
would?
Course.
Okay.
It's only meaningful. It's only impactful if some people disagree with it.
Thank you for watching. If you like this content, you like our programs, please like and subscribe, as it helps the channel get these important conversations out there to a larger audience. So please become a supporter of Talkline with Zev Brenner by liking us, by supporting us, and telling all your friends to watch. Thank you.